Welcome to today's explainer, Mastering High Pressure Productivity. Look, if you are tuning into this, I already know something highly specific about you. You're driven. You're that person who actually gets things done, right? The one everyone panics and turns to when the heat is on. And honestly, as someone who's mentored a lot of high achievers over the years, I see that intense drive, and I want to validate exactly where you're coming from. Today, we're unpacking some absolutely fascinating research on this exact topic. We're going to look at the massive strengths of your high-achieving nature, but, and here's the catch, we're also diving into the hidden traps that come with the territory. It's all about taking that natural intensity of yours and channeling it so it actually serves you instead of just completely draining you.
So, let's start with a really important question. Is your work a challenge or is it a battle? Try this quick reflection exercise with me for a second. Think about your absolute biggest workplace trigger this past week. Was it, I don't know, a remarkably slow email response? Maybe a suddenly shifting deadline? When you faced it, did you view it like a puzzle to be solved? Or did you literally feel your heart rate spike like you were stepping onto a battlefield? How you answer that changes the entire game. The research points out that for highly productive folks like us, the line between these two things gets incredibly blurry. Keep that little reflection in the back of the mind as we go through today's analysis.
Okay, let's dive into this by talking about the competitive edge. We have to acknowledge the massive upside of your mindset. This isn't about being ruthless, not at all. It's about a unique internal wiring that just propels you forward. The source material highlights that this edge is a really powerful tool. It's the engine behind your success. When you have this, you don't just survive the modern workplace, you actively look for ways to push the envelope. That competitive drive is deeply tied to your ability to produce, and we absolutely have to recognize how incredibly valuable that is before we dig any deeper.
To see what that looks like in the real world, your productivity levels are probably off the charts. But it goes way beyond just checking off a to-do list. Picture this. A massive client project completely derails at 4 p.m. on a Friday. While everyone else freezes up or starts panicking, your competitive drive just clicks on. You dive straight into the data, you start delegating tasks, and you deliver exceptional performance under intense pressure. You are literally at your best when the stakes are highest. That is a phenomenal strength. It means you're the one steering the ship through the storm while everyone else is just holding on for dear life.
But, what happens when work becomes a battle? Like any sharp tool, there's a flip side. When that 4 p.m. storm passes, are you still bracing for impact? Our source material makes a really critical observation here. For individuals with a highly activated competitive drive, everyday environments can accidentally turn into war zones. Small, normal workplace problems suddenly feel like literal battles requiring immediate, aggressive action. A minor miscommunication or even a tiny logistical hiccup feels like a profound threat to your progress. Suddenly you stop seeing a minor bump in the road and you start seeing an enemy that absolutely must be defeated.
Now, what's super fascinating is the internal shift that happens in your brain. You basically have a choice. View tasks as items to be simply completed or as challenges to be conquered. The text notes that you might actually start treating simple, everyday stuff, think filing a boring expense report or answering routine emails, as dragons that need to be aggressively slain. But applying crisis-level energy to an ordinary Tuesday checklist, man, that is an exhausting way to operate. We really need to actively reframe these routines. They aren't battles to win, they're just neutral challenges to navigate.
And because you're operating at this intense, conquering frequency, the normal, everyday friction of the workplace becomes incredibly grating. A coworker taking, say, 24 hours to reply to a totally non-urgent Slack message, that feels like a personal insult. You find yourself pacing the floor over a slow software update, or just losing your mind over a 5-minute meeting delay. Look, I completely understand this frustration. When your brain is geared toward direct, immediate action, these slow systems and everyday hiccups feel completely agonizing. They literally feel like enemies standing in the way of your hard-earned victory.
And naturally, conflicts arise due to your preference for direct action and quick solutions. When you view a situation as a battle, you just want to strike quickly and solve it, right? But your colleagues might be taking a slower, much more methodical approach. Because you're treating small problems like massive emergencies, your push for a rapid resolution can easily come across as really aggressive to your team. So to handle this without aggression, try using this simple script from our source text. Next time, instead of saying, "We need to fix this right now," try taking a breath and saying, "I have an instinct to move quickly on this, but I want to ensure we're aligned. What timeline works best for your team?" I promise you, that diffuses the battle energy instantly.
Now, this constant state of friction leads us to a very serious reality, the risk of burnout. When you're constantly fighting everyday tasks, battling inefficient systems, and clashing with coworkers just to get things done, the mental and physical toll is absolutely enormous.
The text clearly points out that this hyper-competitive mindset, while fantastic for short-term crises, is literally not sustainable for everyday operations. Your body and your mind are just not designed to stay in a high-alert, battle-ready state forever.
The common signs of this impending burnout are kind of subtle at first, but they are highly specific to high achievers. A major red flag, you find yourself struggling to relax. When work finally does slow down, instead of feeling relief, you just feel guilty and restless. If you find yourself checking your inbox on a Saturday morning, feeling like you're falling behind simply because you aren't actively conquering something, well, your battle mode is stuck in the on position. The silence of a slow day actually becomes louder and more stressful than the chaos of a busy one.
Let's map this out and see exactly how this builds into a really dangerous cycle. The path to burnout is entirely predictable. Step 1, constant effort. You're just always pushing. That inevitably leads to step 2, a complete lack of balance in your life. Because you're out of balance, you hit step 3, ignored rest and recovery. You start skipping weekends, working right through your lunch breaks. And finally, step 4, when constant effort entirely replaces recovery, you inevitably arrive at complete burnout. It's a straight line, folks. Recognizing exactly where you are on this 4-step path is absolutely crucial for changing direction.
So, let's talk about cooperation over competition. How do we keep that incredible drive of yours, but lose the destructive battle mentality? We pivot. Let's look at a really great case study from the text about a lead developer named Sarah. She was burning out fast, trying to code every single major feature herself, mostly just to prove to her peers she was the fastest. You know what happened? She only found sustainable success when she completely shifted her mindset. She started prioritizing the mentoring of her junior developers over constantly trying to outperform them. True mastery is realizing you don't actually have to carry the entire weight of the world on your own shoulders.
The issue is, you might be treating work as a fierce workplace competition, even when focusing on team cooperation is vastly more important. Think about this scenario. 2 regional sales directors. They finally stop hiding hot leads from each other in this exhausting race to be the top performer. Instead, they cooperate. They combine their regional data and end up landing a massive national account that benefits the entire company. Recognizing exactly when to temporarily turn off that competitive drive and lean fully into team cooperation, that yields a substantially better, much more sustainable result for absolutely everyone involved.
Which brings us to the concept of working smart. It's really about redefining what a win actually looks like for you. Working smart means utilizing that sharp competitive edge when a true crisis hits, but having the wisdom to put the armor away when it's just a regular Tuesday. To maintain this essential work-life balance, the text gives us some highly specific tips. First, institute a hard stop at 6 p.m. where all your email notifications are completely silenced. Just turn them off. Second, actively schedule your rest and recovery time, like a weekend hike or even just reading a good book, with the exact same urgency you use to schedule critical executive meetings. Treat your downtime like a non-negotiable appointment.
So the crucial point is captured beautifully right here in this quote. Success comes from working smart, not treating every challenge like a fight. Honestly, this is the biggest lesson we can extract from this material. Your intense drive is a phenomenal gift, but only if you are the one actually controlling it. If you treat every routine email, every methodical coworker, and every minor logistical delay like a literal fight to the death, you are eventually going to lose the war to burnout. True success is knowing the difference between a challenge that requires teamwork and a real battle that demands your absolute competitive edge.
I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to carry into your day. When you face your very next obstacle at work, and hey, maybe it's this afternoon, maybe it's tomorrow morning, just pause for a second and ask yourself, will you fight your next workplace challenge or work smart to cooperate? You possess the incredible power and productivity to do amazing things. By consciously choosing collaboration over combat in your daily routine, you'll not only protect yourself from burnout, but you'll literally elevate everyone around you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. Keep thriving, keep learning, and above all, remember to work smart.